Hello, I'm Tamsin, and welcome back to English Sound Building, the advanced pronunciation podcast that celebrates the physical side of language learning, encouraging you to do the work to build muscle memory, and master new sounds. As always, remember that successful communication is possible in any one of the thousands of global English accents. There is no ideal. But learning about pronunciation can lead to clearer speech. It will help you with your listening. It is fascinating and it is fun, and that is why we're here. If you find it useful to read as you listen, the podcast script is available on the podcast webpage and on my Patreon page. That's www.patreon.com/EnglishBrickByBrick. I believe in free education for all those who need it, so everything on my Patreon is free. Just scroll down on the main page. Support for the podcast really is appreciated though, so a big thank you to those of you who are currently supporting me on Patreon or those of you who have done in the past. And remember, if you like what I do and you're able to add to that support, whether short or long term, please do. And finally, if you're new here and you'd like to follow me on social media, come find me on Instagram or Facebook at English Brick by Brick. I'm really inactive over there at the moment, but there are loads of old posts to scroll through, and I do reply to comments and messages if you contact me on there. So this week is season 4 recap week. This season, we started with some consonant sounds, looking at the sound and when it's dropped, and then moving on to p and b and b and v. Then we went to syllable level speech for word stress in 2-syllable verbs and nouns, and we looked at disappearing syllables. And over the last few weeks, we've looked at the vowel sounds e and I, the diphthongs ear and air, and intrusive w in connected speech. I've tried to include as many of these features as possible this week, as well as by now bringing in a lot of the sounds and features we focused on in previous seasons as well. So we're going to start the recap with 3 tongue twisters. The first 2 are pretty short, the third is a little longer. The first one has some English place names and really works that sound with no elision of it here, unless you wish to follow one of those English accents where is routinely dropped. I personally wouldn't drop the sounds in this tongue twister. I'll read it first time slowly, I'll pause for you to think about it, and I'll then read it twice more at a more natural pace, pausing after each one for you to repeat. In Hereford, Hertford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly happen. In Hereford, Hertford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly happen. In Hereford, Hertford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly happen. Well done. And actually, I find it easier to pronounce those sounds in faster speech. I think that when I do them in slower speech, I perhaps over-exaggerate them a little, and you feel a little bit more, you hear a little bit more of the friction in the throat, which wouldn't normally be there. The second tongue twister is great for contrasting the p and b sounds, and also has one of those words from the 2-syllable noun and verb episode. As you listen, see if you can remember which one. Beautiful presents perfectly packed in pretty paper. Beautiful presents perfectly packed in pretty paper. Beautiful presents perfectly packed in pretty paper. Well done. And the third is a longer tongue twister, probably one of the most famous in the English language, though, so you may have heard it before. It's again great for those of you who struggle with word initial p, for practicing e and I, and a brilliant review of the schwa sound and the weak forms of, a, and the as well. This time we'll go line by line. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Second line, a peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. Line 3. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and line 4, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Well done. Some really tricky consonant clusters in that one as well. So see if you notice those. And also the intonation isn't easy because of that question at the end. So that's not something we've spoken about yet, but it's something I do get questions about. So again, if that's something you're struggling with, there will be an episode in the future, I'm sure, dealing with that. Let's see if we can read the whole way through. If you want to try to read with me, please do that. Otherwise, pause the podcast after the tongue twister and see if you can manage it by yourself. I'll read it twice, but both at that more natural pace. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? And again, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Well done. If you managed to keep up with that, that is absolutely fantastic. It is not easy. It has taken me more than one take to get 2 of those out. So really well done. And if you didn't manage to keep up with me, don't worry. It is super, super, super hard. But just the act of practicing will improve your ability to make those sounds and to make them in faster speech as well. So it's all great practice, even if you're not doing it perfectly. Okay, we are now going to move on to a couple of rhymes. And for this recap, we're looking at a particular type of rhyme called a limerick. These are rhymes with a particular rhythm pattern and tend to be on humorous or often quite rude subjects, and often both combined. Today's limericks both happen to be about birds. As with any rhythmic poetry, these are great for reviewing weak forms and features of connected speech, as well as any individual sounds which may recur. So the first one was by the American poet Dixon Lanier Merritt and is great for p, and I, as well as dropping the h. In fact, if you check out the script, you'll see that the last line is actually written to reflect that h dropping. We have 4 lines, and again, we'll go line by line. A wonderful bird is the pelican. A wonderful bird is the pelican. A wonderful bird is the pelican. His beak can hold more than his belly can. His beak can hold more than his belly can. His beak can hold more than his belly can. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week. But I'll be darned if I know how the hell he can. But I'll be darned if I know how the hell he can. But I'll be darned if I know how the hell he can. Let's try the whole poem once through. Again, either try to read with me or pause the podcast and read from the script. A wonderful bird is the pelican. His beak can hold more than his belly can. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week, but I'll be darned if I know how the hell he can. And one more time. A wonderful bird is the pelican. His beak can hold more than his belly can. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week, but I'll be darned if I know how the hell he can. Well done. And our second limerick is by the very famous comic poet Edward Lear. In terms of our season review, it's also great for B and the ear diphthong. Again, we'll go line by line and then all the way through. There was an old man with a beard. There was an old man with a beard. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared." Who said, "It is just as I feared." Who said, "It is just as I feared." Two owls and a hen, four larks and a wren. Two owls and a hen, four larks and a wren. Two owls and a hen, four larks and a wren. Have all built their nests in my beard. Have all built their nests in my beard. Have all built their nests in my beard. Well done. And then we'll try all the way through twice as well. First time. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. Two owls and a hen, four larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard." And again, there was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. Two owls and a hen, four larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard." Excellent stuff. I really love using limericks to practice pronunciation. The rhythm of them really forces you to produce those features of connected speech, and they tend to be just really fun to read as well. So we're going to finish our recap on a song, of course. This is another well-known kids song, probably one you've heard of before, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. There are actually a few verses of this song, which was written as a poem by a Jane Taylor over 200 years ago. But most people only know and sing the first, and that's all we'll do today. So here we find one of those words from the dropped syllable episode, diamond, and some really nice intrusive w. The second and final line also include the phrase what you are, which, if you remember back to season 2, you'll know can be pronounced either what you are or what you are. I have absolutely no idea which one is going to come out of my mouth at this point. Let's listen as we go through it and find out. So we'll start by reading each verse slowly and then at a more natural pace, and then we'll sing through the whole thing once more slowly and once more quickly. Line 1, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Line 2, how I wonder what you are. How I wonder what you are. Line 3. Up above the world so high. Up above the world so high. Line 4. Like a diamond in the sky. Like a diamond in the sky. Line 5. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And line 6. How I wonder what you are. How I wonder what you are. Well done. So we'll now sing it once slowly, and then we'll pick up the pace a little bit for the second sing through. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And a little faster. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. There we go. That is the end of season 4. I still have plenty of ideas for future seasons, and I'm hoping to be back in a couple of months with season 5. As always, use the time between seasons to go back over past episodes and to practice, practice, practice. Enjoy sound building, and I'll see you then.